Okay, this is going to be about something that people did all the time. Intertribal warfare is exactly what's going on in Numbers 31. Well, what the controversial part is, this 15, 17. Have you allowed all the women to live? He asked. They were the ones who followed Balaam's advice and were the means of turning the Israelites away from the Lord in what happened at Peor, so that a plague struck the Lord's people. Now kill all the boys and kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save yourselves, every girl, 18:2, who's never slept with a man. First thing, God doesn't tell Moses to do this. This is something Moses comes out on his own. Now there's going to be people, of course, that, no, that's not what's going on. I'm explaining there's a difference. I'm not saying this should happen today. I'm not saying this is the perfect moral example you should follow. I'm explaining things to you. Why did Moses do this? Because it was common practice for boys in the past to grow up and take vengeance on the people who killed their family. It was expected, it was ingrained into their culture. There was no other thing to do. If you were a boy and someone killed your family, you were expected to go and kill their family. You had no other option. Also, people want to think this is sex slavery. No, it doesn't say that. And also, in the earlier sections of the law, it gives rules for things like this and says if a woman wants to leave at any time, she can. It's not sex slavery. She is to be treated as a wife, not as a sex slave. Again, people will be like, you're defending. No. You so desperately want it to be defended. But it's not. Because that's just your interpretation you came up with. But it's not the right one. You people keep on thinking you're so above and beyond everyone else and so different than your funny parents who don't just hold on to one interpretation and never consider anything else. No, you're not. You're the exact same. Yes. So none of these are, first thing, none of this section is a direct command from God. Even in verse 14, Moses was angry with the officers of the army, commanders of the 1,000 and commanders of the hundreds who returned from battle. So without Moses' anger, who said he didn't? Moses was already banned from entering Canaan. This was just something else Moses did. And who says there wasn't a punishment? Just because it wasn't called out doesn't mean there wasn't a punishment. Yeah, then the rest of Numbers is dividing the spoils. Only part where it says anything of commanded as by God. In verse 41, Moses gave the tribute to Eleazar the priest as the Lord's part, as the Lord commanded Moses. That's pretty much it. Then there's the people who murdered or killed or touched anyone who was killed need to stay outside the camp for 7 days. and purify themselves. Yes. Now, does this mean that the Israelites may have actually had sex slaves? Yeah, maybe they did. Does the Bible say they should? No. Just because some group of people did something does not mean the Bible justifies it or says they should. You can still say the thing is wrong without believing the Bible says it. Yes, some people might say it does in order to justify their whack job beliefs, but telling them that they're right, essentially, isn't going to do anything. Isn't going to convince them they're wrong. It's not. It's even Genetic Modified Skeptic points out that if you're a Christian and pointing out things wrong that other Christians do, it is much more valuable for an internal critique than just thinking, oh, this outsider of the world is coming and attacking. Yeah. That's... Well, yes, this is what happens. Tribal warfare all the time. Sometimes the Bible just describes events that happened. That's all. That doesn't mean it justifies them. Yeah. But people so desperately wanted to because it just makes it easier to reject the Bible that way. If you want more about this, Ancient Egypt and the Bible, a YouTube channel by Dr. Falk, uploaded a video about things you should know about the Bible. He has tons of live streams answering questions and does one every Friday night. Inspiring Philosophy has done a bunch of videos and live streams about these parts of the Bible. Mike Weiner will answer questions. And no, none of us are justifying actually doing the evil things you're thinking of. No. Explaining what's actually going on isn't justifying of a horrible thing. Like explaining that no, you haven't committed murder is not justifying murder. Or explaining no, you didn't commit grand larceny is not justifying grand larceny. Or explaining why someone did grand larceny is not justifying it either. Like, is every true crime broadcaster justifying the actions of the people they're talking about because they explain that these guys are whack jobs and are absolutely insane? No! No, they're not! They're not! And they can still say, hey, this is wrong, and still be considered a moral example. Or give moral examples how to live. And this is why people need to stop saying that everything in the Bible is how you should live. No, some of the things are just describing horrible things that happened. Because a lot of it's just history. And not real moral advice. And also, every girl, they're doing, people think it's like, oh, these are like 5-year-olds or teenagers. Not necessarily. And even if they were, the Bible doesn't justify that at all. Again, explaining what happened isn't justification. being and describing are two completely different things. I know all the arguments, and they're all against trying to attack this, and they're all terrible. They all just are full of misunderstandings. Anyway, see you next time.